Welcome to the Pandemonium Witches podcast, where the ADHD has just a touch of autism, where the true crime is as scary as the hauntings and unsolved cases. But the hosts never stay on topic for long. I'm Kat.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Em.
And I'm Meg.
Keep your arms, legs, and other extremities in the vehicle at all times, and enjoy the show. Long time no speak.
I think I'm wearing the same clothes as last episode.
Surprise!
Surprise!
Oh, quelle surprise!
Que surprise! Oh my god.
Are we recording this? You already hit the button?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was like, don't miss the shit.
No, I never do. Lemony Snicket. I just started watching that TV series.
Fun fact, I have the entire set of books. Have I read them? I don't remember.
There is literally a page or like 6 pages of just the single word just typed out, and then it ends the chapter. And I'm like, that is some funny shit.
I have to go find those books now. They're over on that shelf.
One of my kids,
One of the many.
14. When she turned 10, I bought her that series. And then when she turned 11, I bought her Harry Potter.
Nice.
Raven's getting that for her birthday. She's getting Harry Potter. I have the whole box set here. I purchased it. It's in the corner. It doesn't have the cover.
You purchased it.
I purchased it. Mm-hmm.
Purchased it.
I bet you had a really good weekend.
I always have a good weekend.
Okay.
I am a good time.
Rachel, you look concerned.
Sorry.
She should be.
I'm reading about a group on Facebook, and this person lives in an adjoined condo, and they planted these gorgeous arbor vitae 21 years ago, and their neighbor, who's the 5th resident for that unit, decided she didn't like the trees, and so she proceeded to chunk cut, or I think it's supposed to be cut a chunk off of the trees, so that way she could add a deck and put her fencing in. But when they did it, they trimmed it too high, and so.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, it looks like a ballerina lady who
Like they're dancing?
And that's the side view from the lady that's posted it.
I don't know if you know this. That's what she now
has to look at.
Those take forever to grow. We had 2 in front of our house. They framed either side of our garage.
We called them pencil trees when we went to Napa.
They're also called Italian weeping trees because when they grow too tall,
they bend over.
What makes that Italian?
Because they're originally from Italy. No, they're originally from Italy. So the exact species is originally from Italy, and it was brought over here when the Spaniards and the Italians came over, and you know, the caucasity of it.
Yeah, so the OP had planted those things 21 years ago.
And then they got hacked to bits by somebody
God.
trying to Tetris a deck.
Yeah. So mad.
Ma'am, get it. Figure out what tree extensions looks like and fix that shit.
Right.
You are cutting apart a Christmas tree that looks similar, and you are gluing that on there.
And so people are like, oh, well, you know, it's your fault for planting it on property lines. And I'm just like, it's a
natural privacy fence. I don't understand why they're getting mad at it.
But also, if the condo board gave her permission 21 years ago to plant them and to keep them trimmed and everything, that doesn't mean you can just go and
no, you're not allowed to do that. I mean,
cut chunks out of them to
maybe ask somebody first.
Right.
Like, there are certain things that I do not ask for permission. There are some that I do. That is a permission ask. Sometimes I don't even ask for forgiveness.
I can understand cutting a little from the bottom because you're having to put in stacking. Understand that. But why so high?
Why so tall?
I would not be able to reach that high.
It is almost as tall as the roof or the gutter. Like, why? No. Anyways.
If you're building a deck up there, we may need to talk about your spatial awareness.
That's
be more aware of your space.
Oh man. By the way, if you guys wanted to know where the came from, it's from our lovely Meg.
It's from my chaotic brain.
We love it.
Every time I hear it, I'm like, that woman. That woman is me.
I am not sorry. I love it. And a lot of our listeners love it too. Speaking of which, we have new listeners from our Romanian or Transylvanian friend.
New ears.
Okay. We now have 65 followers. Our audience reaches United States, Romania, United Kingdom, South Korea, Germany, and now New Zealand.
I feel like the Animaniacs country song.
Brought to you by Yakko Warner.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru.
I'm going to insert a fun quick story. My daughter turned 8 and my mother took her to a tea at the American Girl doll store for the first time. So she got her first American Girl doll. Side story. But as part of the tea, they give you like these little like activities you can play at the table, right? There's like a would you rather and an American Girl doll facts and like a something else I don't know about. And the American Girl doll facts are asking questions about like the original dolls, which I don't know any of the answers. So it's like Rebecca's, like, who's in Rebecca's locket? Who the hell is Rebecca? So apparently it's her parents, by the way. I did get that one right because I'm a good guesser. But my daughter, being 8, is trying to learn to read, right? And so she's reading. She's like, where did so-and-so's parents come from? And we're like, okay. And then she's reading this thing and she goes, Jeremy, Derek, Russitina. And we went, what?
Bless
and she goes, the options are Jeremy, Derek, Russitina. And I was like, can I see that for a second? And she hands it to me. So clearly geography, not her best subject. Not sure it's even been started. Because the 3 words on that paper were Germany, Denmark, and Russia. So now we only refer to Germany as Jeremy.
Jeremy. So welcome to the podcast, Jeremy. Huh?
She was doing her best, but also not looking.
She was probably also sounding them out in her head, and so...
Okay, but Russitina?
I don't know.
Russitina. It was Russia. It's not that long.
Yeah, I don't know. She started sounding
she's like, I'm trying to be nice. I appreciate that you were trying to be very kind for that, because my mother and I broke down laughing right there.
She probably started sounding it off and got distracted.
And just was like, you know what?
We're going to go with this word.
There's strawberries on the plate. I need to get to that first.
Pretty much.
Oh, Jeremy. So whoever's from Germany, welcome, because you are now Jeremy in my house.
So apologies, Germany. You're now Jeremy. It is no longer Berlin, Germany. It is Berlin, Jeremy.
It's very Jeremy. So you're from Barry Jeremy now. Welcome. I'm going to have my daughter rename all of the states too. Oh, also, she asked how I and my partner were dating one another because we live in different countries. We don't live in different countries. We live in different states.
I mean, sometimes travel-wise, it kind of feels like the same thing.
So, it does, but still, she was like, how is that even going to work?
About you and your love? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, who was just here last week. Like, we saw him. We do. And it was just very funny because I had told them that we were a couple and that we were dating. Weeks prior, we were on the phone. I said something about dating and she was like, you guys are dating? And I was like, ma'am, you know this. But she's like, we're on the phone. This is not new. This is not new news at all. And she was like, you're dating? And then she went, you're going to kiss. It's like, hey.
So what do we got for us today?
Today we have another state with many words I cannot pronounce. So we gonna dive into this. I am caffeinated and of course sober, but my brain and my tongue are not planning to work well together. They are at a war.
We've discussed this many a times because try bilingual, lots of languages here. I can't English sometimes.
No, English is hard. And it is my first language. So super fun. But today's state is Hawaii.
Woo! My cousin's gonna get married.
Oh, I was just there a month and a half ago for the first time ever, which also that plane ride, like trying to get to Hawaii from Virginia, way long, super long, moss long.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, flying there. Did you wake up when you were going over the island? Like going in?
I was awake the whole time because I left super early in the morning and then still ended up getting there at 2 p.m., which had after like 12 hours, 10 hours of travel. So it was very, very weird.
Time zones.
Right? Time travel is not my friend. I would not be a very good Claire in Outlander. So wouldn't be a great Claire. But Hawaii is the 50th state, surprise, surprise, and was admitted to the Union in 1959.
Oh, okay. So not that long.
Recent-ish, right? And actually, when given the choice between remaining a U.S. territory or becoming a state, 94.3% of Hawaii's population did vote for statehood.
Why?
So,
sorry.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't have answers. They didn't ask me.
Oh, the palm color people.
Oh.
Because the natives
Rachel's just got a hand printed up, and I was like,
my hand does not look like Hawaii. I
I
was like, is there like a thing? You know, like Italy's a boot? And I was like, no, my hand doesn't look like any of the islands.
Natives did not want it whatsoever.
So
94.3% of those
colonizing, so they overpowered the votes.
There you go. So the islands lie about almost 2,400 miles from San Francisco, California to the east, and about 5,300 miles from Manila in the Philippines to the west. So interesting for your geography people, which I clearly am not, and neither is my child. The capital is Honolulu on Oahu, which is where I did visit. I visited Honolulu. Sad fact, they are struggling with a homeless population right now, like a pretty big homeless population. So hopefully we can figure out some programs. Don't know what those programs are right now or what they have in place, but would love to see less of that for people. The state flower is the yellow hibiscus, which we love.
We do.
And the state bird is a nene, which is known as the Hawaiian goose.
Hawaiian, the mo, you know,
the Hawaii goose, them gooses.
I don't know why anybody would make it a state bird, because have you seen? I mean, obviously, Virginia, you've seen geese.
Have you met a goose?
Yes.
There are some that crossed the street in front of my car the other day, and my son was like, "Why are there so many?" And I was like, "We don't talk about geese. We just let them goose."
Yep.
We don't acknowledge the geese. The population as of 2023 is estimated to be 1.43 million, so much smaller than some of our other states. Mm-hmm. And the nickname, surprise, surprise, is the Aloha State. So you can come and you can go. Aloha.
I finally saw 50 First Dates.
I love that movie.
And the lady, she's so funny. She's a comedian, and she's Polynesian, I think. But she goes, aloha. And he goes, oh, aloha to you too. No, that means goodbye. Aloha.
I do love that movie. That's actually one of my top ones that I'll watch. I don't watch a lot of movies more than once.
Princess Bride and Harry Potter.
The Holiday and Finding Neverland and Ever After.
Oh, yeah.
There was a bee. Yes. So back to Hawaii. Fun facts about the state itself. A small portion of the Big Island is technically part of Britain. So the bay where English Captain James Cook was killed is marked by a 27-foot obelisk surrounded by a small parcel of cordoned off land. And a 19th century Hawaiian princess gifted that site to the British government, who still owns and maintains it as a tract of sovereign soil.
Isn't that Princess hold on. I have her pronunciation right here. Kaluani?
Sounds good to me. Can I
Like,
tell you? I don't know, and I'm not going to try that one because
It's the last Hawaiian royalty.
mm-hmm.
I would assume it's the 19th century, so yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was the last. There's actually a really good movie about her called Princess Kaluani.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that name.
Yes, it's very
Great names. The ancient Hawaiians invented surfing hundreds of years ago and viewed it as a spiritual art form that required strength, skill, and the favor of the gods to master.
Oh.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yep. And since the 1960s, so right after it became a state, NASA used the lava fields of Mauna Loa for astronaut training because the jagged rocky ground is similar to Martian and lunar surfaces, and it's the perfect place to master the moonwalk.
They didn't take the rocks. They just went there,
Okay.
used them.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Left.
they used
Okay.
the fields. They went. They didn't take things. You're
Okay.
good.
I was sitting
No,
there
they
going,
went
what?
and visited and left.
Okay.
No, they didn't take them.
Could
Could you imagine moving a whole lava field?
I saw the concern start rising up, and I was like, no. They just went.
We're fine. I didn't do something
left.
bad yet. And also, it is illegal to bring snakes into Hawaii. There are no native species, and the government imposes high fines and several years in jail to any convicted serpent smugglers.
Serpent
Also-
smugglers.
Hamsters and ferrets are banned.
Because there's no natural predators.
So
Wait.
there are no, what is it, Kia Souls? No Kia Soul cars because those hamsters can't drive there.
So wait, there's no hamsters in
And no ferrets.
no
No ferrets.
No ferrets.
English is hard.
I ain't got no ferrets. Okay.
And then so those are like the random facts. There's so many facts, right? I could have done that for freaking ever.
Right.
Longer than Hawaii is wide. So we can actually move into spooky facts.
Yay!
Which comprises some of our places that are, a wee bit terrifying. First, a wee bit terrifying. First, we have the night marchers.
I'm sorry. What?
The night marchers.
Marchers.
Like the walkers of marchers.
I thought you
What did
said
we think I said?
marchers.
The hell is a marcher? I know what a moocher is.
Okay. Yeah. I've met a few of those. I was talking about
Mooch mooch.
mooch. I thought I don't know what you meant, but
Marchers
I was
like salespeople?
yeah.
That would be merchants.
Oh,
I know English is hard.
my bad. I'm sorry.
My bad, dog. Marchers. I might need to enunciate my words a bit more.
No, it's just me. I am the deaf.
The death.
It's better than being the dumb.
So,
but,
It's also known as the Ohio, so O-I''O.
Ohio.
Okay, and it is comprised of a great number of spirits, and the term is generally used to mean a procession, so more than one spirit of the souls of the dead. So by that definition, a person won't ever see a singular night marcher. You'll see a whole bunch of them.
Okay.
Yep. And a warrior alone would otherwise just be called a lapu or a ghost. So you can have one or you can have some. So you have
It's either one or the other.
One or many. The most common description of the night marchers legend can come from any person who's lived in Hawaii for several years. Like if you lived there for a while, like you've heard of this, right? They're a group of warriors who are marching in death in a haunted procession, and the announcement strikes fear into the hearts of those who bear witness. It comes in several forms. So the sound of the conch shell, the pounding of distant drums getting closer, and the music of the nose flute, or the sound of stomping feet, and a line of torchlights traveling along in a path. So y'all have warning signs. GTFO. You might even feel the earth shake or catch the scent of sulfur. Also, all of those things move your booty.
Right.
Some have said that they witness a column of mist moving across the land. So like I said, like you're going to figure it out that these things are happening. If they are, like if you're on that path, run. Like I know we've talked previously about, if something's running, run, but like actually run.
Right.
Because if you're in the way, get to scooting. If it's too late to run, you have to lay down and cover your head, shut your eyes tight, and chant your lineage and pray that an ancestor walks among that line and is willing to speak for you.
Oh, Jesus. Otherwise you get took?
Yep. If you have no one amongst the ranks who's willing to claim you, then you forfeit your life.
Oh, Jesus.
Yep. So if there's no ancestor to save
thanks.
you, you hear the call of the Oaya, and this is the order to, quote, let him be pierced.
No, thank you.
There is one other way out of it, though. If you don't know the lineage of your ancestors, your next hope is to strip off your clothing, lay flat on your back, and convince those in the procession that you are mad and therefore have pity for you and leave you intact.
I could definitely do that part.
Right? So some sources say you should rub urine on your body so that they find you so gross that they move on. But if you're that scared, you're going to piss yourself anyway. So
right. So you ain't have to force urinating.
Right. I know that there's no ancestor there that's going to speak for me because my ancestors are
very
not
much,
that. Yeah. So not helping. It looks like I'm having an accident.
Right.
Yeah. So super interesting for that one. So that is the Night Marchers. If you hear them, move your body. If you don't, ask your ancestors for help. If your ancestors are not among the dead, you die.
I've gone there twice. I can confirm they are a thing.
I would rather not be part of that.
Same.
The next haunted place is the Kaloa Tree Tunnel, which sounds fun. But if you head toward the southern shore, there is a famous tree tunnel on Maluia Road, which is named the Tree Tunnel because that's helpful. But it's made up of hundreds of fragrant, like 100-year-old eucalyptus trees. And they're planted like a mile of roadway where the branches just kind of like reach across and create like a pretty little canopy, which sounds lovely. But if you're there at night, might be a titch bit haunted. So they said that one night, 4 brothers were driving back after spending the day in the local town, and the oldest was driving the mom's new truck. And as they rounded one of the curves that was shaped kind of like an S, the truck just started to like lose power. And we know what that means, right? The oldest brother continued driving, hoping to make it out of the tunnel of trees before the truck had died altogether. But alas, she did. So the new truck, which had never had any problems before, stops in the middle of the road, in the middle of the long stretch of trees, and it has a little bit of like an incline, so you can't see cars coming towards you until you make it to the very top. Oh, no. So they saw like they're freaking out a little bit. They see a little bit of like the yellowish lights of a car up ahead in the canopy, which means a car is coming toward them. They expected to see like a vehicle and headlights as it crested over the top of the hill. But then the light just disappeared. There was nothing. No light, no person, no car, no nothing. Just darkness. So they waited, but nobody showed up. And they completely freaked out. They tried to start the truck again. The truck started first crank, and they just like raced out of there. And we're like, well, that was weird. They went to the mechanics, said nothing was wrong. There was nothing in the diagnostics that said anything had even gone wrong. The truck never died. They're saying basically the mechanics were like, your truck didn't die. And they were like, funny. Post
but it did.
But we was there with something else. So the strange light that just kind of like stopped. Some people said it could have been the Night Marcher. Some of them people said it could have, it could just be an unseen force that kind of stopped them. So they didn't get into the Night Marchers, procession, that sort of thing. But there's no telling exactly what happened.
Well, it's from having experienced the phenomenon myself, I had so Angelina, so it's been longer than 17 years, but Angelina was with me, and she was the one who kind of like pushed me back because I was walking to where we were staying, which it was a timeshare of a friend of mine. Anyways, and it's sort of like a funeral a funeral march, as it were. The night marchers.
Yeah.
Right. It's one of those things. She's like, you can't cross their paths, and I said, why? And she goes, because they'll take you with you. And that's one of the things. Is like you can't. You got to make sure you don't get in their way because they'll suck your soul. That's the native story, is that they'll take your soul from your body and take it with them.
I've got one of those next. Funny you should mention that. What a
Really?
lovely segue.
What a lovely surprise.
Where's that lovely sugu? So there's the mo'o at the haunted Kipu Falls. So they're referred to as lizard beings or dragons, but according to our oral traditions, they're shapeshifters. So you can usually find them near a body of water, and most of them are female, and they're usually female deities. So they take the form of it like a siren, right? A beautiful woman who takes a male companion as a lover or just eats him. So in both cases, demand don't make it.
Oh no.
Take note, males. They are benevolent to families who revere them, like, and and honor them, and those sorts of things are super benevolent. And in return, they make sure that their genealogy continues, that their family continues, that they kind of protect their lineage, that sort of thing. If they guard a fish pond, they see that there's like a bountiful harvest and that the waters are clear and clean and nurturing and all of those good things, right? But if you don't do any of those things and dishonor on your house, you go and bring disaster to like all of the things.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, it is symbolic of the reciprocal natures between man and nature. So if we take care of our surroundings, they take care of us, vice versa. Very simple, goes wrong, right? So if the foliage surrounding a pond or a waterfall is lush and green, that means that the moa is absent. They're not there, which means it's safe to fish or to swim. However, if the grass at the water shore is greenish or yellow, that sucker's home. Do not swim.
As the one chick on YouTube, if the men find out we can shapeshift, they're going to tell the church.
That's what it was typing.
Basically.
I'm like, Rachel, what are you doing? I can hear you tick-tappity tapping.
There's another indicator of the presence of a mo'o, and that is if there's a leaf floating on the water, that means that they're not there. If a leaf sinks, they're home. Make yourself disappear before they do.
Yes.
Years ago, before the landowner of this space put up fences and boulders and things to block access, a local teenager and his friends decided to go and take a swim. It was hot. They were like, "This is something that we do. We're headed to a waterfall or a swimming pool, a swimming hole, that sort of thing." So they're playing on a rope that swung over the pond, and the man was sitting on the shore and decided to swim back over to the rocks and then climb out. So he figured that swimming was easier than trying to like walk around the pond over the trees and the boulders and everything else. So he was a super strong swimmer, and he was like, "I'm familiar with this area, and I'm just gonna like take a swim across." About halfway across, trouble strikes. He suddenly just like boop, under the water, like just gone, and couldn't come back up. He's thrashing, he's clawing at the top, he's trying to swim to the surface. He didn't take a deep breath in because he wasn't planning on going under, so his lungs are already like at max trying to get breath again. And he's like, it felt like something was holding on to my ankles. And the more that I struggled, the tighter it got and the farther down it pulled me. So just as soon as his lungs were like, "Look, we've had it. We're bursting. You're done for," he thought the words, "I'm sorry." And he's like, I can't explain it. But he's like, he felt like there was some sort of thought that entered his mind. And it was like, what are you sorry for? And he was like, I don't actually know why I'm sorry, other than I need to be sorry to my mom for, all the things that I've done wrong and all the trouble I've caused her. I'm sorry for not being a better student. I'm sorry for not being a better person. I'm just sorry for being in a place that I shouldn't have been. And I should have listened to my mom because, moms tell you don't go there, whatever. Right. And sure enough, opened up, released him, got back to the surface, crawled out, apologized again, and peace the heck out of there. He and the buddies left never to return.
He was lucky.
So, very.
Right? Like I'm not messing with things that take disrespect at such a high price.
Right.
So, and then I think next part of the story that I have is actually a little bit longer of a story. It's kind of like the feature story for today, which is the Poly Highway. So it seems like a lot of these are roads and, you know, overpasses and bridges and all sorts of things like that. There are no like houses. It's all aerial places, right?
Do you want me to tell you why?
Why what? Why they're all not houses? Oh, go for it.
So I have a friend who still lives there, but we're no longer friends. We're no longer associates.
Okay.
He told me that a bunch of the original housing that was located on the islands were burned. They were demolished to make way for these roads. So the original long houses and stuff like that, because they did have, a lot of the places had original log houses instead of the long house being there. There's still a few that are on national sites, like national park sites, but a good chunk of them were demolished to make way for the highway system.
Great. I hate it.
Yep. You're welcome.
I hate it. Thank you. Appreciate that. Imagination. Sorry. So our story starts back in the 1700s. So 1795 is where we're headed back to. Join me. Come with me. The area was the site of one of the bloodiest battles in the island's history, which is the Battle of Nu'uanu, which was the final and most brutal battle in the struggle to unify the Hawaiian Islands. So we're talking, just right around the turn of the 1800s. Just desperate for victory, the men drove opposing forces over the edge of a steep cliff to their deaths. So right off the bat, we're starting with death. A total of about 400, right? A total of about 400 warriors fell to their deaths on the rocks below, which is like not a great way to go. Like there are many not great ways to go, but that one, come on.
Super not good.
And as you just mentioned, by 1845, the first road was constructed that connected the Oahu area with the city of Honolulu, right? We were just talking about those roads. And in the 1890s, construction workers were fully developing the road, and they actually uncovered about 800 human skulls from the valley. So it was widely believed to be the warriors who met their end in the Battle of Nu'uanu. So in about 1959, so we're talking, which is funny because the numbers are all, my brain doesn't do numbers well. So we started in 1795 and then 1959, the road was replaced with the Poly Highway and the Nu'uanu Poly tunnels, and the modern highways and all that stuff still in place today, which is why this area is so active. It also has hiking trails and the mountain pass and blah, 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 things that are like the mountain pass isn't super used anymore, but all of like the remains of people who used to be there are still there. So it is well known in Hawaii that you are not supposed to carry pork over the Poly from the windward side to the leeward side, especially at night. That's like a thing you just don't do. That is because the pig god Pua'a lives on the windward side, and his ex-girlfriend, volcano goddess Pele, lives on the leeward side. And because of a dispute, they agreed not to bug each other. So taking pork from one side to the other side would symbolically break the agreement. So some drivers have claimed that their cars stalled on the highway, but started up after they like threw a pork product out the window, right? You have a ham sandwich, you're done for. Throw that sucker out, eat it real quick. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. So in 2007, there was a local news reporter who said he wanted to bust the legend and stopped by a 7-Eleven to pick up pork hash. Because why not? They took their new purchases to the lookout at night. He, handed the reporter the food and instructed him to walk down the path for a little while. And he was like, it's your report. Like his guide was like, your report, you do it. I was like, okay.
I want nothing to do with this, guys.
Right? So while carrying the pork items, he got like goosebumps all of a sudden, right? Like hackles raising, and he's like, he stopped at an invisible line from the wayward side to the leeward side. And the guide was like, put the food on the ground. So as soon as he dropped the items, all the flashlights died. Right? A few seconds later, flashlights come back on. They walk back to the car. They turn around. They shine the light on the food. And it looks like the pork pieces were missing. Like they like he puts the stuff down, he shines the light on it, he walks away for a few steps, he shines the light on it, that sucker is gone. He's like, also, I'm not going back to look. Like, looks like it's missing. Also, please don't make me go back there. So he didn't actually, go back to look. Then we're back with same guide. So the guide took the reporter on this one. Then in 2001, so earlier, 2001, he brought a group to visit the haunted tree. It's called the Chinese cemetery's haunted tree. And he explained to them that swirling fireballs would appear according to the mood of the people who were visiting. Are you good? Do you know the story?
I'm assuming she does.
Pretty sure there's a trigger warning on this one. Do you want me to wait a minute?
Nope, you're good. I'm just I'll stick a trigger warning in just in case.
Yeah.
This is a Pandemonium Witches podcast trigger warning. The following episode contains graphic violence and gruesome depictions. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, just right here.
Okay.
I was trying not to laugh about the fact that you were covering your
ears over your headphones?
Yes.
So you can still hear me quite clearly.
So I don't know if you saw it, but this headphone started to lift just a little bit like that. And Frank was trying to push them off. Yeah, so I was...
Okay.
Hi, Frank. All right, we'll get through this one as quickly as possible in that case.
You're fine.
So when the tour guide noticed a girl who was sitting alone by a tree, he was like, "Hey, are you good?" And she was like, "Actually, like, I'm kind of afraid that if I go by this tree, like if I go close to this, something bad's gonna happen." And he was like, "Why? Like, why do you think that?" And she was like, "Well, like, just last night, my boyfriend dumped me for another girl." And the other girl was my sister. So already not awesome. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "I'm afraid if I go in with everything that's like in my heart, the sister's gonna die because I'm mad, I'm upset, I'm hurt, I'm all of these things. And I feel like if I go into or go by that tree, with all this in my heart, something bad's gonna happen to my sister. So I'm just gonna stay out here." And he was like, "Okay, well, your homegirl wasn't wrong." So it says later something did happen right over at that Pali lookout that we were talking about earlier. The story didn't really get reported anywhere, but it's something that like everybody in the area knows. So that girl, apparently the sister who was dumped, apparently went out to the Pali lookout and jumped. Knowing what happened to the warriors, we can understand that it did not end well for her. And that's kind of how I'm going to explain that one because I don't want to hurt anybody. And her name was Cassie. So there are reports that she jumped. There are also reports that she utilized the branch of a tree to complete her plan. After she failed to return home the evening that she had passed, her family filed a missing persons report and they looked for her and they waited and, they asked, and after 3 days they found her. So they hadn't found her for a while. So after 3 days they found her, and ironically, those who found her were her boyfriend and her sister. Which sucks. Like, you don't like that. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So now, apart from being the place where Cassie passed, this new Poly Drive was also a popular like lovers lookout, lovers lane. Mm-hmm. And these two, Cassie and the boyfriend, had pulled their car out of the way so that nobody could see them. And then the sister let out a blood-curdling scream. Her boyfriend looks out the window and sees the severed head of Cassie just staring at them, which we don't like.
No.
And it says that the reason that she is no longer connected is because she had been there for so long Gravity did the job and just kind of separated some of the parts. So, is it Cassie's doing? Is it revenge? Is it, we're not exactly sure why she showed up back up again. But the story apparently doesn't end there. Due to the severe trauma, they couldn't put her body back together, right? And her family opted for a closed casket funeral, and their daughter was laid to rest, never to be put back together again. And that's why her spirit is rumored to wander down that drive, dragging her head behind her by her own spinal cord. It does take a bit of a turn. And she has a particular affinity for couples who are making out in their cars at night. And she just kind of like pops out outside their passenger windows and scares the shit out of them and leaves.
That's basically scares the absolute shit out of them.
Yep. So, not a great thing. The story that I read said, good thing her boyfriend was stupid, because about a year later, he brings his new girlfriend, so no longer with sister, brings the new girlfriend for a nighttime makeout session. They take a walk around before heading back to the car. They stop at the edge of the lookout to like cuddle up a little bit, and watch the lights. And all of a sudden, he hears a distant voice calling out his name. And the girlfriend's like, did you hear that? And he's like, yeah, like, who's out here this late at night? And he hears, like, down here, come down, frightened. He books it, jumps in the car, leaves without his girlfriend.
Oh, hell nah.
He was like, peace out, right? Jumps in the car, books it out of there. And then the ex-girlfriend tells the story when she was on the ghost tour and said that Charlie was never seen or heard from again. So apparently Cassie's real great at finding out if people are not faithful. And the tour guide had said, if you're seriously wanting to find out if your boyfriend is being unfaithful, take a walk down this pass over that point. Apparently the girl who was here because of infidelity senses the men that are cheating and calls out their name. So that's one of the most haunted areas in Hawaii, and super creepy, and also like, don't do bad things in your relationships, because I don't want anybody calling my name.
Do you know why I shook my head?
I don't know that I want to know, but go ahead.
So when I was dating that guy, the friend, I'll tell you his name. I mean, obviously you remember his name.
We're gonna call him Leis. That's his name.
That's the name we have chosen.
So, no. That's his actual name that I call him. His name is, but I always called him because he hated it.
Because he's a ass.
Yes, he is.
Sorry.
No, that's primary reason why I called him that. Good job. That's the reason why.
Nailed it.
So he had, him and I were dating. This was a decade ago, nearly. And
in the Wayback
Machine. He had come home to visit. We started dating. He went back. He took some of his friends that he was seeing there, and he said that he had gone there and he heard his name. So I decided to do a little research.
Oh boy.
And that's how I knew. I was like, kind of figured. He goes, what do you mean? I was like, I kind of figured you were putting your pecker in different pastures, but now I know for sure. He goes, what do you mean? I was like, and I told him, and he goes, no, I'm not cheating. And I was like,
Then why'd you hear your name?
Right.
Pretty sure Cassie says you are.
Right.
Cassie called and she said, also, gonna like harken back real quick, putting your penis in different pastures. That is a new one for me.
You're welcome. Also, the call is coming from inside the house with that one. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Blech.
I do have to change his name now
hate
because I don't want him to come after me. He's certifiably insane.
Okay, then we can call him Aslu.
So
Okay, Joe.
Hawaii is like one of those places, although very lovely, although one of the most amazing places I have been several times. I will never live there.
No.
Never.
Not at all.
Mm-mm.
And I was there for work.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have liked to go to one of the other islands as well. Like, of course, I was in Honolulu because it was business related and like that's why we had to be there, right? But I think I would like to visit some of the other islands and see what they're like. But like I said, that's a visit with a big V, not a stay with a big S.
Right.
We like that last story. Like, I can see why it's like the most haunted story. It's also like creepy as shit, and it reminds me of one of those things from like what were those books we read as a kid? My son reads them.
Oh,
the ones we read as a kid that are like the super scary stories or something.
Creepy
like that.
stories to tell in the dark.
That one, creepy stories. The Goosebumps stories would have made a great Goosebumps story, but I'm talking the creepy ones where it's like the hook is on the outside of the door.
Yeah, creepy stories to tell in the dark. The girl with the no head, where she has the ribbon around her neck. The scarecrow that comes to life. Yeah,
we're just getting
Emily
into that.
The ribbon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice pull.
Ribbon.
Nice pull on that one.
What do you say?
Yes.
What you want?
So Texas has had triple digits the last couple of weeks.
Because it's Tejas and it's Haas.
Yeah.
So we drove to the store. He likes me being his passenger princess, so of course we can't drive my car. No. We have to drive his car.
Nay, that's a Hawaiian goose. Look at us using our facts we've learned today.
The other day we were driving and it just kept getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So we were driving with the air on, obviously, and the air stopped working. So he wants to do it himself.
All right. Have
it,
my
cool.
guy. Do it, my dude.
Meg says, do it, my dude.
Word. I mean, I'm sure
I knew I liked
YouTube videos.
He's watching the YouTube video on how to do it. So, do we have any other interesting facts about Hawaii?
Let me see what I have pulled up here, because I know there was something else that I had as an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull up the white thing.
I mean, not to overlook Pearl Harbor or anything, but haunted.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I didn't want to because I could. Your girl could dive into some Pearl Harbor.
That could be a whole episode by itself.
Right, it could be an episode by itself, and I will say I went. The thing, when I went to Hawaii, I was like, I must do Pearl Harbor. I'm a history buff. I need to go. I need to spend my time.
It's quiet.
Biggest thing is no, and that's the problem, because there are too many people there that don't understand and I'm going to get on two soapboxes, one for each fucking foot, and because when you get there and you recognize that this is a place of mass sacrifice and horrible devastation, and there are plenty of places like that in the world, right? But you're going here because it's a memorial. Stop talking.
Right.
Stop taking, when they say no photos when you get off the boat, don't take a selfie.
Right.
Don't take a selfie. I took photos, you're allowed to take photos after you get off the boat and into the thing. Cool. I took photos there. They're not of me.
No.
Unnecessary, right? I don't need to do that. So there were a lot of people who just wouldn't stop talking, to the point that you have the guy who's on duty who's like, please remember, this is a place of honor, lower your voices, yada yada.
Because it echoes.
Don't. And it's supposed to be a space where you're quiet and reverent.
Yeah.
So
do you not know what that means? So mad.
When you go back, because I know you're going to go back.
I think I have to go back, depending on if we have the same event again.
So there is that block that you taught me how to do. Okay. Do that right before you get on it, and you'll hear the silence. It just kind of, it's all consuming.
Fair. I can do that. But it was lovely, as far as the way that they keep it up and the honor that they provide. And I watched the video and I did the thing, you know what I mean? And it was actually the day before the very last survivor from the Arizona, I believe it is. He had passed away early April, and they were doing the ceremony for him the next day.
Let him join his crewmates.
He chose not to join his crewmates
really?
Because he wanted to be buried next to his wife in California. He said, if I had died first, she would have had me interred at the Arizona. He was like, but that's not what I want. I want to be with her. He's got his own book. But they had actually had the flag at half mast from the day that he passed all the way through the next day. They were actually raising it back up after they had done they were doing a huge thing. And I was like, I kind of wish I'd been there the next day.
Yeah, because every time one of them would pass, whether or not they chose to be interned with their fellow members or not, they still would have a huge ceremony there.
Yes, they did, which was kind of crazy. And it was like, it was a nice extra, like we were sitting there waiting to go get on our boat, which they run like literal clockwork. But we were sitting there waiting, and we had like 2 extra minutes. And so the guide who was sitting there like waiting, she's like, I'm going to tell you one quick thing. She's like, because we have an extra minute. And she told us that. And I was like, I'm so glad I was here to hear this. Like,
yeah.
So I have a picture of the book. I'm going to buy it and probably read it very shortly because it was
drop
just,
it in the chat.
One of those things.
Right.
I will. And a couple of the photos of him and stuff like that. So I could have done an entire, we could have gone hours on it, and I didn't want to do that to you all because I know that that's a thing that I love and didn't want to force that upon other people who are looking for other spooky shit.
Yes.
I
just wanted to drop that in there because it is a notable mention for haunted places.
Very fair, and the fact I was remiss in not mentioning it earlier, so thank you for seeing my A.
So, sorry. Go ahead.
Go for it.
Did you do research on what the haunting is for Pearl Harbor or no?
No, because I knew it was going to be a day's worth of research, and your girl can hyper-focus.
So. That's what I've been doing with the podcast and the editing and everything. If you haven't noticed, we changed.
Which we highly appreciate.
Yes.
It's my baby. It's my baby.
It is. And you're caring for it well. You are rearing your child in the best way.
Thank you.
Yes.
Only organic food.
I am not a crunchy mom. You take that back.
You belong in Arkansas.
So, there have been said for the people who dive in the area to find phones and other stuff, because I do have friends that live on the island now. They live in a bus at one of the KOAs out there. Because they do have KOAs out there. They go by a different name, though. This part unnerved me more than it should, and I think it's going to unnerve you, too. The sounds of wrenches.
Oh, thank you.
The sound of wrenches.
Oh, yeah.
Doing Morse code. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, my heart. The sound, just... Frank's giving
for when they were stuck inside the ships, trying to let them know they were still in there.
Yeah. But
thanks, I hate it. But also like this, like the devastation, like the fact that it's less. To me, that's less creepy and more devastating. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I really do. I mean, when it comes to World War II, that's definitely a subject that I know a little too much about because of my grandfather.
Same.
So,
but that's only because I just was into it.
Well, so one grandfather fought for one side, and one grandfather fought for the other. And there's information about it that I cannot disclose. But it is definitely.
So, all in all, there's a lot of history there and I think, I'm going to make the statement. I think that sometimes we only recognize history that started when they entered our union, which sucks. And I think we do that a lot because those are the things that are taught in our schools because this is our country and blah, 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 right? Yeah. That doesn't make it right. And I think that there's a lack of I think the East Coast does a pretty good job as far as like, hey, here are the people who founded, here are the people who blah 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 before it became country, blah blah, because it's all the same colors.
Shtick.
And I think it's all the same, you know what I mean? It's all the same flavor of whatever. It's quote easy to talk about because it doesn't get into the hard stuff. But I think when we get to places like Louisiana and Texas and, you know, even, you know, Alaska, Hawaii, a lot of these other countries or other states in our country that, you know, there's a lot of history before us that needs telling and needs stating and needs recognition and needs time, and I don't think we do a great job of that. So I do like finding podcasts and stories and documentaries that talk about a little bit of the stuff before us.
Yes.
I find it's necessary. And how are my kids going to find time to and the ability to understand and learn and not repeat if they don't know the things that happened beforehand?
Right.
Exactly.
Like, I know we just did Pride Month, and Rachel and I talked about it before. Somebody was saying, I don't understand why they need a Pride Month. A whole month. It started with a riot. And a lot of people don't go through the history of it. A lot of people don't recognize that, you know, it started because of a riot.
A riot and a break.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, the more we educate people on just trying to pay reverence to certain places, which is why we dehumanize the serial killers and we humanize the victims.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good portion of what we do. And I refuse to, like that one episode, we talked about Dick the whole time. We didn't give him a proper name. His name was Richard, but we didn't give him a proper name because he doesn't deserve a proper name for what he did. I feel that's a way of paying reverence to the victims. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me. Mm. And I know there are certain things that I just, when I research and certain things that I share, there are certain topics that I just don't go toward. You know what I mean? Like, I don't talk about ones that have to do with violence against children. I just think, you know what I mean? There's just certain stories that I can't talk about because someone else is better at that than I am. You know what I mean? There are certain things that are not my place to say, not my place to comment on, because somebody else has a better voice and a better experience that is going to be able to convey that. Right. And I think knowing that is also a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, there are certain topics that are hard for me. There was a topic that we did for California. I had to kind of take a break from that because a lot of those places are traumatic for me because of memories I experienced and because, you know, I had to do a couple of mediumship things because there was that one hospital that was doing a study that science versus metaphysical and whether or not it actually was legitimate, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here going, do I really want to remember that? Or am I going to give, you know, education where it deserves, you know? But
I get it.
I'm going to drop down the information if we, you know what? Let's do Pearl Harbor. Because that is...
add Pearl Harbor?
We're going to add Pearl Harbor. If you want to go ahead and scroll that.
To your little heart's content.
Please.
Right?
I would...
Okay, I'll see you in 2 years with a full documentary.
Pictures included.
Hold on to your underpants.
I
say in the car when we were driving, hold on to your butts.
I did have fun today, but I did not. Does that make sense?
Right? Yes, I was like, this turned very dark very quick, but...
It usually does.
It usually does.
But I think that's kind of the
point.
The poipus.
Yeah, it's kind of what
poipus?
We do.
It's a poipus.
It's like sleep cycles. We go up and then we go down. Then we go up and then we go down.
Right. I'd prefer to stay in REM, but sometimes we get into the deep shit.
Yes.
So, I think this was definitely a learning experience for me to hear about things that I didn't know about. I've been there a couple of times. I do want to go back, but not
like Hawaiian gooses.
I did not know those existed, so I did learn something new today.
And they
Nay to the nay.
They have these giant spiders there, by the way, completely malevolent. They don't hurt anybody. They're non-poisonous. This big. They're garden spiders.
I'm sorry, that's not a spider. That's a house cat.
It's a house cat with 8 legs. What you mean?
It's a ferret, which they're not allowed to have there. Please take your guinea pig-sized spider elsewhere, Hawaii.
It's the little dog with the little spider costume on.
Oh my god, yes.
Oh my god, now I'm gonna have to do that. Hey, you, come here.
Tank! Yay!
We'll put this in a spider costume.
He was just looking straight up at the ceiling like, nope.
He's no thoughts. Just vibes.
No thoughts.
No, he prefers to be held like a baby.
Because he is the baby. What you mean?
He licks his own butt.
He's a toddler. What do you expect?
Right.
You know?
You're not wrong.
Several of those. None of mine were that flexible, we'll say.
But if they had been that flexible, they would have.
Probably.
At least once. Just say they did it.
Good lord.
Full of Marilyn Manson. Anyways, that's it for our show today. That's everything on Hawaii, I'm assuming. I think. Yes?
That's everything that we're sharing on Hawaii for today. Tune in another time for Pearl Harbor.
Woo!
We don't know when we're doing it yet, but we'll let you know. As always, stay spooky. Please be reverent to local traditions and local lore. Do not go baiting ghosts. Just don't.
Also, if you go to a memorial,
don't talk.
Shut the fuck up.
Right.
Be reverent. Be quiet. Talk in hushed tones, please.
Or
because there are
somebody.
Because there's going to be somebody there one of these days that's going to smack you.
Or, you can pull a Gwen Stefani. Don't speak!
Right.
Because somebody else...
Because if you get thrown out of those places, you get banned from a lot of places.
Can you imagine being so disrespectful that you got thrown out of somewhere? Like, I'm nice in a library.
Fun fact.
People that gets thrown out of Arlington.
Fun fact.
Oh, yeah, I've been there too.
I was there for a funeral right before I moved. It wasn't I think it was 3 years ago. And some guy got tossed out. When you get thrown out of those, because I asked the guard at the front, if you get thrown out of a national memorial, they put you on a list.
Yeah.
And you are not allowed to go to any further national memorials for 12 years.
Exactly.
12 years.
12 years?
Yes. Yeah, 12 years.
So long.
I know. Mm-hmm. How much do you think you fucked up to do that? I mean, come on now. Anyways. I could talk about this all day.
That's a dive for another day.
Just be kind. Be a good human.
Be kind.
Just be kind. Rewind.
Both of you. Shush. All right, Blockbuster.
And with that, stay spooky. And we'll see you all next time. Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
Next time on the Pandemonium Witches, we're going to be talking about colonizers today.
So speaking of measles.
Yep.
Speaking of measles, we're taking a trip across the country.
People have reported to hear disembodied voices from outside the tunnel and along the trail. This building has been the center of various reports of hauntings since the mid-70s. And it was known for bootlegging, brothels, and illegal gambling. So, the trifecta. And his niece and one of his employees, all which perished under mysterious circumstances. Many believe that the ghosts that haunt there are victims of a terrible unsolved murder. So there are 2 ghost towns nearby, so you can get 2 for the price of 1. Many people who visit hear voices, see women and children, and often feel a wetness on their skin. That's called rain.